angry scenes aimed at Denmark. The decision by Danish newspapers to publish controversial cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad sparked protests across the world, and some think it could also have led to the bombing of the Danish embassy in Pakistan.
My immediate reaction is that you can only condemn this. It is terrible that terrorists do this. The embassy is there to have cooperation between the Pakistani population and Denmark, and that means they are destroying that. They're destroying the Pakistanis' ability to connect with Denmark. It is completely unacceptable.
In February of this year, Denmark's leading newspapers republished the cartoons. But it's a decision which proved very controversial.
The majority of the Danish population did not support the republication, even though it was done for different reasons by many media. They are getting tired of this. They support the principle that we should have the right to publish such cartoons, and therefore they supported the original publication, but they do not want, so to speak, to engage in repetitive offensives. So the support of the media was much weakened in the recent February crisis.
And yet you were one of the editors that decided to republish them, so in light of that, do you feel responsible?
Well, I certainly feel that I got more criticism from my readers for the first time in this context. But again, I have to do what I think is right and not listen to opinion polls.
Denmark currently has troops in Afghanistan and took part in the war in Iraq. But many Danes do not agree with their country's foreign policy.
When I was in Cuba, I said I was from Holland. Because it was when Denmark just went into Afghanistan and Iraq, and I just thought I don't sympathize with their war.
We have been warned for a long time that there will be some reaction in Pakistan, and both to the Danes and to the Netherlands embassy. So I think we have to. It was expected.
Well, I wrote a book. I called it "The Lost Innocence" because that's actually what happened before the cartoons. I mean, as a Dane, you could travel everywhere and you will be associated with butter and milk. But now you are associated with cartoons and an activist foreign policy.
Denmark's so-called loss of innocence seems to have surprised many of its citizens. Most hope that this is just a phase which will blow over. But seeing as the Foreign Ministry has now advised against any travel to Pakistan, that's unlikely to happen anytime soon. Barbara Serra, Al Jazeera, Copenhagen.
Earlier I spoke to Sheikh Abdul Wahid Pedersen, the Foreign Relations Manager of the Muslim Council of Denmark, and he told me he's not convinced the bomb attack is definitely linked to the reprinting of the cartoons.
Well, obviously, we can say Denmark has earned some negative interest due to the cartoons, but we're also participating with military staff on the ground in Afghanistan. That in itself could also draw some negative attention, but there could, of course, also be totally other motives. For instance, a strike at the Pakistani government, which has been in a weak position recently, and then an attack on a foreign embassy could be primarily directed towards the Pakistani government, and then only having, we can say, the secondary target as being against Denmark. So I'd say there are several opportunities still out there.